Make some noise! It's time for the Squad Pod, starring your host, the most frustrating squad podcaster in the entire land, Dan, aka Dan the Man. I'm joined here by my best pal, Mikey K.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Squad Pod. Dan, I actually have a topic for you today.
Lay it on me, brother. What do you got?
All right, man. It's more of a question. But which sport do you think would be the most fun to watch if they had to add a mandatory amount of alcohol?
Mandatory amount of alcohol. So you're telling me the players have to have a mandatory amount of intoxicating beverages they have to drink, or the viewer, or both?
No, the players. I mean, I'm sure the fans are drinking too, but
Well, I better be drinking too. I hope
yeah.
so. I think So the players have to be drinking a mandatory amount of alcohol. Gosh, there's a lot of sports out there. I feel like I have a few on my list here.
Yeah, well, like just to get the ball rolling, I think there's some sports that it would actually make less entertaining. Because if you're watching a baseball game and everyone's intoxicated, they're not hitting anything.
No, not one bit. There's so much like skill. There's a lot of skill you have to stay still for, and they have all those rules now where you gotta, if you jitter a little bit, then like it's a balk or something like that. Still don't know what a balk is, but yeah, that would probably make it a little bit more difficult. Now, viewing baseball with a mandatory amount of alcohol, now that would be something. That would be fun.
Well, people do that anyway.
There are probably some sports that you probably shouldn't drink as much while watching it, because then you lose track of everything. Like the fast-paced ones.
Yeah. Well, here's an example of one I think would be more fun, and they actually do have beer leagues for this. But hockey.
Oh yeah.
Players are drinking. They'd be so much more violent. I mean, that'd make a hockey game way more entertaining.
Well, if it's ice hockey too, it's a good way to stay warm. And you don't care who checks you or hip checks you or forechecks you and hits you in the face with an absolute slapstick of a shot with a hockey puck to the nose. Like you get some brutal injuries, but you're not going to be hurting if you're drinking. I think football would be really fun to watch if all the players were like hammered, because then they just get all rowdy. And I mean, the name of the game of football, I mean, you just got to push and hit people and tackle and do all that stuff. And then you got all the shoulder blades on, you got all the protection, the helmet. Some brutal injuries happen, but if you're drinking, you should be actually in a decent spot. And then the cellies, think about the celebrations.
Those would be wild, bro.
You wouldn't see one field goal made, though. I can guarantee you that. Not one field goal would be done. It'd be all no good. They'd just be like, woo, all over the place. I think that's one.
I think your pass completion rates would go way down.
Yeah, I think so too. That would just sink to the ground. I think tennis would be a little bit harder if you were drinking.
I think that would be funnier to watch than baseball, because they'd just be serving it and they would not be able to return a single ball.
Like, and then you got to like make the cap just to like mess with them. You got to make like the mandatory limit like sky high. So like when they serve it, they just, fall on their face. We wouldn't want to see them get hurt. But I mean, if you're looking for entertainment purposes,
I'd love to see some professional golfers just whiffing the ball too. That'd be pretty humbling.
Just absolute moonshots. Like, well, golf. One of the best parts about golf is that no matter who you're playing, they're really. You want to think there's a mandatory amount of what they call birdie juice, right?
Oh, for sure, bro. Yeah, I mean, if I went golfing, I wouldn't want to be sober for it, but I'm not competing.
Like professional level, like quiet on the fairway, like absolute concentration needed, and then the dude's just absolutely hammered off of like 4 Jaeger bombs and a flagon of ale.
Absolutely,
man. Sport.
Well, you got to think kind of outside the box with what's considered a sport, because I mean, something that I think would be pretty hilarious, assuming nobody dies, is like a NASCAR event. Everyone's drunk driving.
That's just drunk driving. I mean, it's controlled drunk driving.
No, that's a sport.
You're in an oval.
I would watch that.
just watch, you know, just,
Every third lap they take a shot.
and they just go in a circle. They just got to go in a circle. That's it.
They go for a
That
pit
would,
stop. It costs them like a
yeah, they got to drink. They got to take a shot of water every time they do a pit stop. Slows them
turn
down.
NASCAR into a drinking game. That'd be way more entertaining than just watching cars go in a circle for 6 hours.
I think so too. Honestly, I think just watching them go in a circle for 6 hours, just, I mean, I hear those NASCAR races are really insane. I for one have never been to one, but I hear if you like tobacco, loud noises, and a lot of alcohol, they're a fun time.
Yeah, man. I'm sure a lot of people go just for the scene. But yeah, there's things way outside the box that you could consider a sport. I mean, I was at a bar the other day and they had televised professional tag.
Professional tag.
Professional
What are
tag.
they on a course? I've never seen that.
Yeah, it looks like you ever been to one of those trampoline parks and they got the stuff you can climb on and like all
Oh,
the
like the ones with like the foam ball pit, and then you can get lost in it, and then like people won't find you for like 3 days. One of those places.
one of those places, but they had the obstacles. There's balance beams and jungle gyms and monkey bars and like all the crap you could use to get away from somebody who's trying to tag you. Yeah, it was on like some ESPN 8 The Ocho type network.
Yeah, it's just like it's probably on at like 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
Prime time. But that's that. Now that, yes, that would be entertaining to see if they're all just absolutely hammered. I mean, I feel like they would start a lot more determined out the gate, and then come the end of it, wouldn't really end too well.
yeah,
A lot of people wouldn't really make it.
yeah. But I guess like point being, you gotta think outside the box. What's a sport? Not just your baseball, football, basketball. Just you know,
Let's get a drink limit, a minimum on water polo. I would love to see that. Just like water polo, water polo, that intense game. You're in the water and you got a horse and you're sparring basically, or you're doing like a joust with other people. Any of you water polo fans out there, comment below when I get this wrong. But
I think
you're on a horse. You are in the water, just to specify, but also to specify you don't have to wear a polo shirt. I think they do, but you don't have to. And to my knowledge, I think you got a ball or something you got to get, to the other side, but you're literally jousting with like another team of people in polos in the water on a horse trying to get to the other side. It's brutal, but they also call it's one of those gentlemen's sports, where like you can't really get mad in it.
so. It's like football in a swimming pool. I mean, I assume you're joking about the horse.
No. You gotta, I think there's horses involved.
I don't think there's horses involved. How do you get a horse in a swimming pool, Dan?
You train them.
How do you get a
It's
horse
not a
out of a
pool.
swimming pool?
It's not a pool. They go into like a lake, a body of water. It's a big course. It's intense.
I just have this big suspicion that you have no idea what you're talking about, but I don't know enough about it to prove you wrong. So I guess, do you sit? How does the horse come in? What
Well,
does the horse do? What's the purpose of the horse? Does everybody
usually
have a
the other
horse, or is
side.
there just a horse
can't.
hanging out?
The horse races to the other side. The horse you have to be in a body of water where like you're above water. Like it's a shallow body of water here. You know what? Screw it. If I'm completely wrong here, I think I just invented a new sport, which would be excellent for us to drink in.
I think
With a
you
minimum.
accidentally confused like jousting and whatever water polo is.
Move over water polo, because we are the two founders of the International League of Water Jousting.
That sounds really fun. Assuming a horse can run through, how deep's the water? Because I feel like if it's too deep, the horse ain't gonna be able to run very fast.
Oh, I think it's probably like 3 feet deep.
That sounds better than regular jousting, because if you fall off, you don't hit ground, you just kind of hit water.
2 feet, 3 feet, something like that. Something shallow. And then, you just, that way the horse can run. And, I don't know. I mean, again, I think that would be a solid little sport we could create, and we could make it with a drink minimum.
Drunk wet jousting.
Drunk wet jousting. It's
I
gonna be
still
all
think
over. Red Bull's gonna sponsor us. It's gonna be intense, man.
yeah, it's actually going to be in the Olympics next year.
To the moon. Anyway, what other sport here that we should have a drink minimum to? This is a good question. I like this.
But what about like winter Olympic sports? Now that we went with the Olympics of the old wet trunk horse jousting. I mean, there's like bobsledding would probably be hilarious with a
Oh,
couple of
that'd be a
drinks.
ride, man. That'd be a ride. Just because you're in the bobsled anyways, and then you just you got to make sure you just maneuver properly. Skiing, people drink at ski lodges as it is. So if you're gonna make it competitive and intense, go down the Black Diamond, man.
Dude, that'd be rough. I can't do that sober. I tried to learn how to snowboard recently and I hurt myself so bad, dude. And I mean, granted, these are Olympians, so they probably have a better shot than I do, but I'm sure there'd be its funny moments.
I'll make sure I bring my camera for that. I think there would be quite a bit of funny moments. I think I remember what, yeah, you kind of messed your arm up pretty bad with that snowboarding. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
maybe the alcohol is what you need. Performance enhancer.
yeah, I goofed up my wrist. I was trying to learn how to do it, and I got cut off real hard by this little, probably 5-year-old girl on a pair of skis. And with the skill level I was at, my choices were either to flatten her or to just kind of take a tumble. And I think I did the more ethical thing. I took the tumble. I felt like a cartoon character.
Man,
Yeah,
I wish I was
yeah,
there.
it was definitely a sight to see. Yeah, I think that's the last time I'm gonna try doing that.
I think that won't be a bad idea. But if we got some alcohol in the mix for some true Olympiads, I think they could really give us a good show there.
Absolutely, dude. Man, now there's probably some other sports that'd be fun to watch. Because you got to think, if it hinders, you don't want it to hinder their ability too bad that it makes it almost unwatchable. Like baseball is like every game's going to be a no hitter.
But it's also going to be the most amount of pitches thrown in history.
Yeah, like I don't know, baseball is already kind of rough enough to watch, and that's when they are hitting the ball. Let alone if there's no movement out on the field. Like what are you showing up for?
It's like the opposite of the Harlem Globetrotters.
I could
You
see
see them
like
make extra movements, and then you go to this, and then there's just nothing going on at all. They're all taking a snooze.
something that I
Man.
think might be more fun to watch with alcohol involved is maybe bowling.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah, I think bowling, because you get a lot of gutter balls, but if you put the bumpers up, it's game over. You'd actually see some pretty good games because then the confidence will be up for people,
oh
and then
yeah,
they could just take some gnarly hacks, and it won't go into the gutter.
yeah, that would turn a game of skill into a game of luck.
Exactly. Just aim anywhere.
Same with something like darts, which by the way, it's crazy to me that people show up to watch darts.
I've seen that too. I've seen darts like on ESPN, like you said, like on that like
On the
ESPN
Ocho.
on the Ocho, whatever you called it.
It's
And they're
that's
just
from the movie Dodgeball, if you ever seen it.
dodge if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Anyway, yeah, no, and then they just those dart throwers are pretty intense though. They get it right in there.
They don't miss. It's actually kind of amazing. Those guys are really talented. Not to bash their sport by saying that I'm amazed people show up. I don't see the entertainment value, but those guys are talented.
They really worked hard. I mean, it probably doesn't take much. I mean, I got a magnetic dartboard. I should probably start using it again. Not to undermine their abilities. I mean, it definitely takes a lot of practice. Tell you what,
I'd
rugby.
imagine.
Let's get hammered and play rugby.
No, that'd be worth a watch. That
That would be worth a
rugby.
watch. Totally. Rugby
That
games in general are fun to watch, and they're pretty fun to play. You just got to be prepared to get hurt. Like there's no escaping it. Like it's not like it's not like you go to baseball and you're like, oh, I hope I don't get hit by a pitch today. Like no, rugby, you're gonna get hurt.
rugby is brutal too, man. Like I remember Riley from high school. He used to play rugby, and he was like the toughest guy I knew. And he would just roll up to class and he'd be covered in bruises. He'd look all like he got in a fight, and I'd be like, "Hey, bro, what happened to you?" It'd just be rugby.
Yeah, he's like rugby. I,
Yeah,
I went to a college rugby game because my buddies from college, from good old Altoona, were in the rugby league. And I watched this kid. I didn't know the kid who got hurt, but I watched him get like a serious like back injury. It was brutal. I mean, he's all right now, but it just happened in the game. And then they just kept playing.
the
And it was
alcohol
like,
might
what?
actually help those guys take some of the pain away.
Oh yeah. I think it absolutely would. Same premise as football. Except with rugby, I feel like you could get even more creative because the game just keeps going. So you got the adrenaline on you. Football the same, but
That's a good one.
man, I watched this popular YouTuber I was watching. He was breaking down the sport of buzkashi, which was like a Malaysian. I think it's like an old Mongolian, yeah, not Malaysian, Mongolian sport where they literally throw. They're running around on. Is it bulls? Horses. It was just horses. They're running around on horses. Now this isn't in the water. This is on like mud, and they have a severed goat head and like oh no, a goat with its head severed off, and they're just carrying that around and trying to get it into a hole on the other side of the little arena they had. And they're on a horse. Like these guys are like falling off. It's intense. Look it up, Buzkashi. I'm not going to even attempt to spell it for you, but if you just like tell Siri or Alexa or whoever like the government spy is you have in your house, they'll be able to spell it for you. And that YouTuber, he made an excellent video on it, and it was like, now that you bring up this question, Mikey K, I think I'd love to see some alcohol flying around as well as the goat with the severed head.
So I can see the entertainment value of that straight off the bat. What was it called? Bushashi?
Yeah, close enough. Buzkashi. Yeah,
Not
that
to
was
be confused with Bukaki.
yeah, make sure your Siri or Alexa doesn't type that in unless you want it to. Which I mean, what you do in your own home is just between you and your government spy. But
they're carrying the goat's head, right? Like not the headless body, or are they doing stuff to
no
both?
headless body. The head's gone. No head. Head is out. It's the headless body, and it's like
What do they do with the head? Is that not part of it?
What, are you interested?
I mean, that sounds like a better.
Mike's just sitting there with his mantle, like he's got like a plaque. Yeah, I see you, Mike.
Well, don't expose me on the pod like this. But I'm saying you got like a hoop that you need to throw something to play this game. You got the goat's body, which is like got legs and shit, and then you got the head that's practically round, and you decide you want to throw the body through the hoop.
Absolutely, the body, because you got all four legs that you can hold on to, and it had something to do with the culture behind it. Like I think it's some sort of sign of respect, one way or another. I don't know, no disrespect to that culture, but I mean that's just and you can hold on to the hooves, and I mean when you got to throw it into this like hoop or hole, or it's like a hole in the ground or something like that, and you definitely risk throwing yourself off of the horse into that hole with the goat body, but that's all for the love of the sport.
I think
that if you had a drink minimum, that really wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah, I think just the head would make a better ball, but I guess if you're passing it to your teammates or whatever, you don't want to impale them with the horns and stuff.
No, because the horns are gone, and the head is probably on your mantle somewhere, and they're just playing with the body, and it's like it's pretty intense. That's probably the most intense sport I think I've ever heard of.
Absolutely, man. I told you to think outside the box, and you understood the assignment.
Remember, kids, always think outside the bun. I don't think they use that as a slogan anymore, so I think I'm good to go.
I don't even remember whose slogan that was.
What slogan? What other kind of sport here? I'm drawing a blank. What's the best kind? Okay, let me shift the question here. Let's say you were playing basketball and you had on a league and you had to have a drink minimum of like, I don't know, 8 or 9 drinks minimum. Have to only stick to one type of alcohol. What alcohol would you choose? Can you just drink 9 beers, or would you do something different?
You're asking me like what I would drink. I mean, I guess that depends if I'm trying to win or not, man. But I'm thinking about it now that you're bringing it up, and like basketball, I'd almost think would be worse because there's a lot of running involved with basketball. And if I have 9 beers and you expect me to run up and down the court, I'm throwing up. I'm yuking all over like the entire court, which I mean, maybe people would say that makes basketball better because that'd be just kind of funny if all the players are yakking. If you got the stomach to watch,
it'd be a lot funnier to watch. But I get the nosebleed seats for that one. Like,
yeah,
I feel like that would make the prices of the that would make the ticket prices like reversed.
Yeah, if you're courtside, you're in the splash zone, like you're at SeaWorld or some shit.
$25 courtside tickets, $300 upper level tickets.
Yeah, if you're courtside, you got to smell it too.
Just wear like a clean room suit. Get more bang for your buck and sit courtside at a basketball game.
Oh man, you couldn't pay me to sit courtside at drunk basketball.
So what would you? But let's say what would you drink? Would you go with vodka? Would you go with like something sweet? Would you go with Four Loko? Like what would you drink? I think Four Loko would actually help enhance you, especially if you got like the old version, like the one with the caffeine and the energy in it, the electrolytes. Back when it used to be like an energy drink.
Yeah, I mean, maybe back then, like the good old fashioned nuclear Four Loko, but I don't think Four Loko has ever enhanced anybody.
I beg to differ. But
You
that
trying to
was
get that
was,
Four Loco sponsorship?
yeah. Why not? We could take anything. We'll take anything we can get right now. Shout out fledgling podcast.
So, I mean, my answer, and where I was kind of going with the throwing up at a basketball game thing was, I think it depends how much I have to exert myself. Because, if I'm running up and down a basketball court and I'm pounding beers, I may or may not lose them one way or another. You'll see them again, is my point. But if I'm like a golfer, I could pound beers all day and golf. So I don't have to exert myself that much.
Oh yeah. Same with bobsledding. You don't have to do anything for that. You just sit. Well, you do have to do something for that, not to undermine that sport, but you sit for starters, and you got the wind on your back, and you're just going through whatever those chutes are. If we do my sport that I invented, you'll just be sitting on a horse. A horse doesn't have to drink. Probably I wouldn't recommend the horse drinking. So that would be fine too.
I would be more inclined to watch it if the horses were also drunk.
Yeah, feed them a little bit of horse nip.
Horse nip.
Like catnip, but for horses.
Just get them high on horse nip, and you're drunk off whatever you want, and you got to play jousting
Vladimir.
polo.
Break out the Vladimir for that one. Yes, absolutely. That would be so awesome.
Honestly, we kind of breezed right over this, but jousting as is, I think adding some alcohol to that would make it pretty exciting.
It would definitely cure the anxiety behind it. Like if you're going like full on like medieval style joust, I'd be pretty darn nervous holding a sword. I've never really played Fruit Ninja in real life or anything like that. I don't own a sword. So holding a sword and head on crash with somebody else, I feel like I would need a few drinks for that.
Me and Vinny did the Fruit Ninja thing one time. He bought like a katana at the mall and he was just throwing bananas at me and shit. It was actually pretty fun.
I remember that. Actually, I remember his video. He actually got it spot on too. He sliced that fruit right in half.
Yeah, it's too bad though, because we were only able to do it one time because the acids or whatever from the fruit actually ruined the blade on his katana.
He can't even like sharpen it anymore.
He probably could, but it's just like it's a pain to clean it, and we're just not doing it again.
Yeah, well, I would say it's probably worth it.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure the katana. I'm sure he didn't. Well, I would hope he didn't spend that much money on it.
I'd imagine he
If he
did.
did, worth.
I mean, he got it from the mall. It couldn't have been that bad.
No, not at all. Especially from that mall.
What do you think those NASCAR drivers are drinking behind the wheel?
Probably like, well, if they're not, well, they probably aren't drinking any alcohol.
I'm saying in the mandatory drinking hypothetical universe that we're talking about.
I would vouch for them to just drink Mountain Dew, but like the hard Mountain Dew that they have now. So not much has changed. That's what I would drink if I had to choose a non-alcoholic beverage. If I'm in a NASCAR race, Mountain Dew all the way, all the way. I don't care if I'm sponsoring Dr. Pepper. And if I got Dr. Pepper all over my car, I'm drinking Mountain Dew in the car because that sets the mood.
I think if you're a NASCAR driver, it's in your contract to at least have one code red while you're on the track.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no other way to do it. Just sets the mood. Now that they got the hard Mountain Dew, I think our little mission here to just watch people drunk drive in a circle for entertainment's sake really can help bring that to life.
I've never seen a hard Mountain Dew, but that sounds like Four Loko is just trying to go camouflage mode.
It's like those restaurants you see that like they were never really clean, but like you go in there and the food is always really good, but then they close and then they reopen serving the same food with the same employees and the same managers, and they just have a different name.
Oh yeah, I was just telling you, there's a Chinese place behind me that did that. They got like a health code violation, so they just changed the name of the restaurant.
That's exactly what Four Loco's doing. They ain't slick. They're just partnering up with Mountain Dew and saying, "Hey, call yourself Mountain Dew because you guys don't have lethal limits."
Yeah, like, oh, it's not a Four Loko, it's a hard Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I've seen them. Look out for them in the stores. There you go. Ad time. We don't even need commercials. We just talk about companies and we just like say how good their stuff is. That's the way we can get like ad rev.
We'll never get
need to,
sponsored
like-
because we do it for free. Yeah.
Just do it do the sponsorship crap. But no, yeah, those Chinese places always have the best food, man.
Mhm.
And then you always are afraid that they're like gonna go away forever. And then, oh no, guess what? We're the same. We're just a different name now, so we're completely different. Wink, wink, nod, nod, nudge, nudge.
I'm a big sucker for Chinese food, and for the longest time, I couldn't find a place by me that I liked. I feel like with Chinese places, it's either always really good or really bad, but
There's
no
no in
matter,
between.
there's no in between. But no matter what, I'll eat my Chinese food and I'll be really content with how much I ate, and then not an hour later, I'm hungry again, and I don't know what's going on.
What? Not even an hour later?
I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it doesn't hold me over as long as it should.
It, well, it depends on what you're getting from there, I guess. But yeah, I guess that happens to me too. I get like I get the MSG high, and then like I just want to have like more food, and then because it's sooner rather than later. Which I mean, it's worth because that's what Chinese leftovers are for. I just have more of it. Yeah, that's happened to me too, honestly.
Absolutely, dude. I'm thinking of sports. You think there'd be more injuries? Actually, this is a stupid question. There'd absolutely be more injuries if there was a mandatory alcohol minimum.
Well, not if you don't feel them. Not an injury if you don't believe it. What did George Costanza say? He said, "It's not a lie if you believe it." It's like the same concept. So then you just, brush it off and then just call it a day. No, there definitely would be more injuries, actually.
Do you think, just hypothetically speaking, this might be a little outlandish, but say every sport ever had an alcohol minimum. Do you think our conception of what an athlete looks like would change? Like, do you think they'd have all these physically fit people who are renowned athletes, or do you think they'd have beer guts and they'd just be the best tennis player in the world?
Well, look at that. I think it would be the latter because look at that famous golfer, John Daly is his name. Badass golfer.
Is he the one from the meme where he's got the cigar in his mouth?
He's got the blonde hair and he's like a pro golfer, and I'm sure he's like absolutely he tears it up. Like I think I saw this one thing on Twitter. It was like they tallied up everything he consumed at like a golf game. It was like 0.0 ounces of water, 13 Red Bulls, like 8 cigarettes, and whatever it was. I don't even have it in front of me, but look it up. John Daly, his consumption during a regular 18 holes of golf.
Was that 0.0 ounces of water a real statistic? Because that's just no water.
Whoever put that tally together did not witness this man have a drop of water throughout the entire game, and he survived the entire game. He's superhuman. So that's what we would have as athletes all across the board.
All that's going to happen if there's a mandatory alcohol minimum is his career is just going to go like he's going to be on every box of Wheaties ever in the future.
I think he should be already. I'd petition for that.
I would too. I don't think he promotes the healthy eating that Wheaties is. Speaking of sponsoring cereals and Mountain Dew and eat your Wheaties.
Seriously. I mean, this guy, he's just like superhuman, but he looks he doesn't really look superhuman. I mean, like he's athletic, and I give him nothing but respect. I feel like if all sports across the board would be like that, he would actually turn into an average body type, average athlete.
That's what I'm thinking, dude. Like guys like that who are indestructible, like a stray cat. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like Michelle Obama's having like a little twitch right now. We're talking about reversing eating healthy and being in shape.
I'm sure she's not happy about it.
Nah, probably not. Eat your Wheaties and your veggies, kids. Everybody listening out there. If you want to look like John Daly, great, because you'd probably be really good at golf if you did that. But eat your Wheaties.
Yeah, I don't know about because there's a lot of sports will be worse, like volleyball, basketball, like tennis.
I would not be able
baseball.
to do. I could watch volleyball if the players are drunk, but I wouldn't want to play it. Same, and then yeah, basketball. That would just.
What's that one with the ice and you slide the puck and the people with the brooms?
Oh, curling.
Curling. Yeah, that'd probably be fun.
Yeah. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm just sweeping, but I'm like also 3 sheets under the wind. Like, oh yeah, we're sweeping. We're sweeping.
Yeah.
Celebrations would be a lot better.
I can't tell you why I think that would be more entertaining with a couple of beers and the players, but I think it would.
And then like the send too, that would be more fun. Like the one who's like throwing the puck or whatever you have to do for that.
Is that I didn't even know they were named positions.
I have no idea what the names are. I just called him the sender.
The sender.
We get the sender because that's what he's doing. He's sending it.
The guy that's just gonna send it.
He's just gonna send it. Whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know, but I know he's got a mandatory beer minimum at all times.
Just for living. Just a mandatory beer minimum for living.
I hope he's still launching that snowmobile off of whatever the hell he can find.
Like the old DT is what he called it. We should have him on here. Get this guy on this podcast.
Did we have one listener? I don't think we have the clout.
What you never know, that listener might be him. If you're out there, Larry, speak to us. And
It's
if the
him.
one guy who's listening to us right now, hey, we appreciate you very much. And if your name is, even if it isn't Larry, come on up anyway.
It's
Well, that
Larry, Michelle Obama, and Four Locos marketing department.
we made the big time, buddy.
That's how we know we made it, baby.
We made the big time.
Oh yeah.
Well, soon enough though. We got the aspirations. Man, what a great topic though. I think we explored a lot about ourselves, a lot about our livers, a lot about our taste buds, and a lot about our athleticism.
I think we did too, man. And I think this is a good place to wrap it up. We're running out of recording time, and I don't think we missed anything. I'm sure we did, but we'll think of it as soon as this ends.
Any of you viewers out there, think of a sport that would be excellent to watch and or play while absolutely hammered with a drink minimum. You throw that comment down there, boy and girl. In the meantime, though, y'all stay classy and jazzy, and we will see you next time.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, and drink responsibly.
Always.